What's up, everyone? I'm Matt with Ozark Overland Adventures, and I might have a slight problem, a slight addiction to power stations, solar generators. I have a few. And if you've seen my channel lately, you know I have been cranking out quite a few of these videos on these things, just kind of to help you make purchasing decisions. And to be honest, I've made a lot. And so I thought it might be helpful. Instead of doing an individual review on all of these things, and I've done a review on a lot of these, I thought I would do just kind of a general buyer's guide to help you make the best decisions and to tell you the things to look out for. Because on this table, we've got everything from $179 300 watt power stations to $1,000, $1,000 and $1,500 watt power stations. And which one do you need? Which one's the best for you? And I can't make that decision for you. So let me just kind of walk through some of the things that I think are the most important when picking a power station solar generator, and then talk through some of the interesting features that some of them have, and kind of go from there. But we do have everything from 300 watt to 350 watt, 500 watts, 700 watts, 1,000 watts, 1,500 watts. Oh, 150 watt. I forgot about the little, this was the one I started with, the little Goal Zero Yeti 150. Honestly, haven't used him in a long time because it's just so pitiful. And you can see it. This is a 150, this is a 300, and yeah, anyway. And you'll also see this is the only Goal Zero that I have up here because I'm not a fan. It's the highest dollar, it's the least cool, performs meh, and so I don't have any Goal Zero up here because I've tested one and it didn't impress. So anyway, end rant on Goal Zero. Ozark Overland Adventures is proudly supported by the More Expo, the Midwest's only indoor event for adventure travel enthusiasts. Artemis Overland Hardware. They have the passion and knowledge to ensure that your next outdoor experience is more than a camping trip, it's an adventure. And the Big Iron Overland Rally, a 3-day weekend camp out and concert experience at the Big Brutus Historic Landmark. All of these important things to look out for are, first of all, the wattage ratings. All the batteries are going to be rated in watt hours, and all your devices that you're going to be charging are going to pull watts from them. And so, if you are running a, let's say a small USB fan that's pulling 10 watts, and you've got a 300 watt little power station, 300 watts divided by 10 watts, that's going to get you 30 hours of runtime on a little USB fan. So if you need something like that to, power, to cool you off in your rooftop tent or something, that's kind of how the math works, roughly. Each one of these is going to have a little bit of protection built in, be it 90% capacity or 85% capacity, that sort of thing. It's going to vary depending on the maker. But that's the general math. How many watt hours you have available divided by how many watts you're using gets you how many hours of usable time you have there. Next is going to be the outputs, because we want to plug things into these to either power them or charge them. How many AC outputs do they have? Just 1, 2, 4, like the new EB70? How many USB ports do they have? Are they old school USB-A, which still serves a purpose? Are they the better USB-A quick charge ports? Or does it have USB-C, like the Jackery 500? It doesn't have USB-C. What's up with that? And not all USB-C is created equal. There's low-powered USB-C, kind of like the Jackery 1000 has, that has 18 watts out of its USB-C port. And then you've got other ones. The Rock Pals has 30 watts, the Watt Fun, the Balder, the Togo, the Jackery 300, the Gulu, they all have 60 watt USB-C ports. And then you've got like the EcoFlow and the new Blue Yeti EB70, they've got 100 watt USB-C ports. So if you have like a MacBook Pro and you work on the go and you need to keep that laptop charged at peak capacity or charge it really fast, The 100-watt USB-C is fantastic to have. If you're running laptops and stuff off of them. USB, the 60 watts works well, but getting 100 watts, that's fantastic. The inverters, the type of inverter, all of these have pure sine wave inverters. Every single one of these has a pure sine wave inverter, which is critical. Do not buy a power station without pure sine inverters because it just creates nice clean power going to your devices. But you've got everything from 300-watt inverters to 1,000-watt inverters on these guys, 700 watts on this one, 600 watts on this one. This one does some trickery to run higher powered things. How many AC ports do they have? Like you've got one on the Jackery 500. You got two on these guys. You've got 4 on the EB70. That's just crazy the amount of things you can plug into this one. The 12 volt, the car charger adapters. Make sure that is a regulated 12 volt. And everything up here has a regulated 12 volt except for 2 of them. And that's the Balder and this Rock Pals. All the rest of them have regulated 12 volts. And that's important if you're going to be running a fridge. If you're just going to be plugging in an adapter and like charging your phones and stuff, just to add more USB ports, that sort of thing, no big deal. But if you're going to power a fridge with any of these, like car camping, overlanding, that sort of thing, regulated 12 volt is a must. Because what happens is the fridges that we use, whether it's a Dometic, a Snowmaster, an Iceco, an Alpacool, they've all got voltage protection built into them. So you can set high, medium, low voltage protection on those fridges so that it will protect your starter battery because they assume that's what you're going to be running it off of. And so you don't want the fridge to drain your battery so you can't start your vehicle. So that's where these come in. You can run them off of these and not even mess with your starter battery. But if it's not regulated, the voltage, as that battery drains in the power station, the voltage is going to drop. And if the voltage drops too much, it's going to trigger the fridge to go into voltage cutoff protection and shut off, and then your food go bad. That's not cool. So make sure it has regulated 12 volt. And you'll notice all of these only have one 12 volt output. Some of them have the smaller little 8 millimeter 12 volt outputs, so it can work with like a CPAP, that sort of thing. But as far as like the car charger things, they've all got one. I don't know why none of these companies put 2 in there, but they don't. But another little thing is the little door protection. This one has it. The Jackery 500, it has no door, just to keep dust and stuff out. That's a handy little feature. Size and weight. I mean, typically, the more battery capacity you have, the bigger it's going to be. So, you've got the 300 watt ones down here. You've got the 500 watt ones here and there. You've got the 1000, the 1500. The bigger the battery, the bigger the size, the heavier it's going to be. And by far, this booger right here, the EB150 by Blue Yeti, is the heaviest sucker up here, and it's a beast. And you don't want to have to deal with this crawling up into your tent at night to plug things up. So size and weight is going to matter depending on how you're going to use it. For me, if it's just to keep electronics charged and cell phones, batteries, that sort of thing, bring it up into the rooftop tent with me at night to recharge my phone, plug in my Apple Watch, that sort of thing. The 300 watt ones are fantastic for that. They're also good enough that if you need it to power your fridge, it can. If you just for a few hours, maybe several hours, maybe even a day for some of them, depending on what type of environment you're in. So if that's your priority and you just need it to charge electronics and that sort of thing, the 300 watts, great choice for that. That's what I like to, like I said, bring up into the tent and that sort of stuff with me. If you need to run a fridge, and running your fridge is your, the main reason for getting this, and then powering your other things is a bonus, minimum of 500 watts for that. So the Jackery 500, the Blue Yeti AC50S, which you'll see is not here because I have a friend is using that. The Gulu 500, the 500 watts I think is going to be the baseline for running a fridge, and that's going to buy you, 2.5 up to 3 days worth of runtime on a fridge with a 500 watt power station. Now, if you need more than that, if you need more power than that, if you need to plug in more things than that, maybe you're like me and you're, out creating videos and photography and got drones and cameras. So you not only need to run a fridge, but you need to power those devices, then a laptop for editing, that sort of stuff. That's when I would seriously consider a 700 watt, because that's kind of a sweet spot, I think. Both the EcoFlow River Pro, the new EB70 by Blue Yeti, fantastic for that. It's crazy how much stuff you can plug in and how long it will last on the EB70. And this one is really cool as well. And then from there, I think you're getting into, if you need some sort of home battery backup, emergency preparedness, storm damage, power outages, that sort of thing. You need to run your home fridge. Maybe you need to power, things around the house, and you're not going to have, obviously, electricity to recharge it. Maybe solar. That's where I think the 1,000 watt, the 1,500 watt, both Blue Yeti and Jackery make 2,000 watt power stations, which obviously I don't have. But that's where I think these come into play, is if you want something for emergency preparedness, disasters, needing backup power around your house, that sort of thing. For all of these, they can accept solar input. Solar, I think, is a big deal for what we do, going out, in our vehicles, living off the grid. We can recharge these with our vehicle, but we don't, if we're stationed at camp for a day or two and just enjoying being out, in a remote location, solar is going to be key. MPPT solar controllers is the key technology that you want to look for. Just about every one of these has an MPPT controller, except for, I think, the Jackery 500. It's got an older school solar controller, but MPPT is great technology. Inputs, they're all going to be pretty standard, like most of these 8mm inputs here. A couple of these, like the Balder and the Jackery 1000, will have Anderson ports so if you have a solar panel that uses Anderson ports, you can plug those directly into it. But most of these run off of 8mm or slightly smaller ones like this, the Togo Power and the Watt Fun have a little bit. They don't have 8mm much for the size, but it's a little bit smaller. But both of those include the adapter to plug those into a solar panel. So that's important, making sure that not every one of these comes with an adapter. Jackeries, they don't come with an adapter because Jackery solar panels, they all do 8mm input. But the rest of these are going to come with MC4 adapters to plug into a variety of solar panels. And that's the great thing with all of these. You don't have to use a Jackery panel with a Jackery. You don't have to use a Blue Yeti panel with Blue Yeti or RockPal with RockPal. You can mix and match them if you can find a good deal on one. That's fine. I would say minimum 100 watts on your solar panels. Make sure these can accept it. Something like the EB70, it can take up to 200 watts of solar input. Same with the Jackery 1000. This one can accept 400 watts of solar input. That's crazy. I mean, you can plug two 200 watt panels into this thing and just recharge it super fast. So knowing the wattage that it can input and having a solar panel that can handle that is super handy. Now, each one of these have maybe just a few things that can set it above the rest. One feature that I personally love is wireless charging, and the Blue Yetis, the AC50S, which isn't here, the new EB70, the Togo, the Balfour, you'll see they've all got these flat spots on top, and they can wireless charge your phone. And it is crazy handy to have, to just drop your phone up there and be able to charge it. It's not a gimmick. It really works, and it's really handy. Some of them have different lights and flashlights of varying effectiveness, like this Jackery 1000. It's got this little super annoying LED here, which makes this the world's heaviest flashlight, I think. You've got practical ones like this Balfour and this Togo Power. This Togo Power, this Watt Fun have nice diffused lights, which actually come in handy. If you need, like light out on a table or something, these are nice. These are worthless. Like the EcoFlow has this one, yeah. But these nice diffused ones, super great. This one has a nice big one on the back. So if you need a little light, look for one that has the diffused type of lights. Other technology, Jackery has gotten creative with their Jackery 300 with dual charging. So it can actually charge via USB-C, and you can double that by also plugging it into a wall outlet. And so get twice as much charging input on like that. This is the only one that really can do that. The Rock Pals can charge by USB-C, but it can't go dual. I don't think the rest of these, the Gulu, it can charge by USB-C. That's handy, but not dual. So different charging methods to look out for. The EcoFlow, it's very unique. It is well known for its crazy fast charging on AC. If you can plug it into a wall outlet, this thing accepts like 500 watts of power on the wall charger, and it's a 700 watt power station. It can charge from 0 to full in an hour and a half, which is bonkers. But it's only on AC, so if you're out off the grid, not going to do you much good, but it is super cool, and there's definitely some applications for that. Other things to look out for, the displays. The displays vary from stupid, basic, kind of crappy, like the Blue Yeti here. Where's the button? There we go. The Blue Yeti EB70 crap display, very basic, to a lot of detail like the EcoFlow, the Watt Fun, the Gulu, the Togo Power. Fantastic displays that not only show you inputs and outputs, but also how much time you have left, either to charge it or in how much power you're drawing on it, and how much longer you have left in hours or minutes. So the displays can vary from one to another. Battery technology and life cycles is something to look out for. A lot of these are using standard lithium-ion batteries. The Jackeries are, the Togo Power, the Rock Pals, but some of these are using newer lithium-ion phosphate batteries. So the Blue Yetis, the Watt Fun, the Gulu, we're talking 500 life cycles on a Jackery, and the EcoFlow and some of these other ones, or up to 2,000 to even 2,500 cycles for these that use the new lithium ion phosphate batteries. So when you're looking at lifespan, that's something to look out for. Another key feature to look for is pass-through charging, and all of these have that. That should just be a standard feature. Pass-through charging, regulated 12 volt, and pure sine wave inverters. Those three should just be standard. But pass-through charging allows you to have this plugged in to either car outlet or solar charger or wall outlet at home, and also be using it to charge devices and power devices. So pass-through charging is very handy to have, and something you want to make sure yours has. Honestly, as long as it's got regulated 12 volt, higher powered USB-C, pure sine wave inverter, MPPT solar controllers, I think you just about can't go wrong. All of these do great. I haven't had one fail me. And depending on your power needs, I think that should be the most, once they've got all the other things, the regulated 12 volt, the MPPT, pure sine inverter, higher powered USB-C, once it's ticked those boxes, then to me, it's just a matter of how much power do you need and your budget. So the little things, the wireless charging, that's handy, not a deal breaker by any means, but really it just comes down to how much power you need to use, and your budget is where I would go with that. Warranties range from a year to like the little Watt Fun to 2 years to the Jackeries can, if you register them, you can get 3-year warranties out of those. So anyway, what other questions do you have? I tried to cover everything that I thought was important, everything that's mattered to me when I've been using these, and the scenarios in which I've used them. So let me know in the comments what other questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. But these things are fantastic. One consideration a lot of people have is, do I go with a power station or do I go with a dual battery setup in my rig? And really, I think that depends on how you're going to use your rig and what your needs are. If you're purely living out of your rig and not needing power elsewhere, dual battery is the way to go. It's complicated. It can even be more pricey than some of these. If you've got the techie know-how to be able to run the electrical and do that stuff, awesome. I don't. But I love the flexibility of these because I can use them in my rig. For the power outage, I can take them in my house. If I'm out sleeping in a rooftop tent, I can take one of these up there. If I need to pull my fridge out away from my vehicle for some reason, how I've got camp set up, the flexibility of these I think are fantastic, and the prices continue to come down. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you've got more questions, leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. Hopefully I have just given you a general overview of what to look for in these, and I honestly don't think you can make a wrong choice depending on your needs. There's definitely some up here that I would avoid just because they don't have regulated 12 volts. And to me, that's important. But if that's not important to you, then, something like this Rock Pals would be fantastic for you just to throw in your tent because you don't need the 12 volt. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. If this video was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I like to try to do things like this, just try to help educate and, help you make good decisions. Lots of great trip videos coming up. So hit that subscribe button. Patreon, if you followed some of our trip videos and want to, see those routes or just support the channel. You like the channel and you want to support us. We have a dream of doing this full time, getting out of the house, getting out of the garage, living on the road. And so if you want to help us, support us that way, hit that link. Really appreciate that. But thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you next time. Bye.